What is up, FPL managers guys? Today we are looking at my Game Week 19 results, the best Morgan Rogers replacements and my very own transfer plans. Let's get into the video. So guys, on to the results first of all. In defence, we had Sanchez rotated again like he was about 5 game weeks ago, which is kind of annoying. And I would say it's worrying, but considering they just lost 2-0 to Ipswich, I would say it's not really something Maresca is going to try again. I don't think a lot of Chelsea fans were happy about that decision either. Usually we would have Fabianski coming off the bench, but he was injured, so he didn't even play this game week either. But that's probably for the best. I mean, he would have got 0 points at best anyway, so it doesn't matter too much. We also have Gabriel, who hasn't played yet, but I'm sure he'll do fine. He'll probably get me some clean sheet points. Clean sheet points don't positively affect me too much anyway from my Arsenal defence, because there's a fair few people out there with 2 Arsenal defenders and I've only got 1. Looking at Gavardio, he did me a nice solid, got me to, chill 6-pointer, nothing too special, not a goal or anything. But to be honest, I wasn't even expecting a return from Gavardio. I nearly benched him, so I'm happy with that. But the hero here, guys, is clearly Trent Alexander-Arnold with a 15-pointer. Now, guys, I feel like I cannot really celebrate this one because Trent kind of got a little bit lucky. He had 0.02 expected goals, and the shot he took deflected in, so that's 3 bonus points and 6 points for the goal. That's 9 points from pot luck, to be honest. So yeah, of course I'm happy, but can't really say I deserve it. Anyway, I'm happy about it. Okay, it's a huge W for me. It's the sole reason I'm on a green arrow right now. So yeah, no complaints from me. If you want to keep getting lucky, please keep getting lucky. But we did have some bad luck this game week too, guys. I mean, Ismaili Sarr, 1.04 expected goal involvements. A guy who normally overperforms his expected data got 0 returns. So there's a bit of bad luck there from my new signing. But, I'm not going to complain too much. He's still got time to get some returns to me. Also, Jackson got benched as well. That's not great luck either. So there's a couple of things here that could have gone a bit better for me as well. So overall, I'd say on the luck scale, it tips only slightly towards the side of luck. Not a lot, just a little bit, considering everything that happened, or at least that's what I'm going to tell myself. Morgan Rogers is another hero in this team. He did get a yellow card, which means he is suspended for the Leicester game, which I was really hoping I could have him for. But we will discuss Morgan Rogers in more detail later on. We may consider selling him, we might not. But along with Trent, that double-digit haul is the sole reason I'm on a green arrow. Without those guys, this team would be in the mud because there's no one else sort of low owned that got me any points. I mean, Isak did well, but his ownership is so high it doesn't matter. Salah the exact same, despite the massive haul he got me yet again. It doesn't really matter that much. It's not very significant because everybody had Salah captain. Palmer got a 2-pointer. Now, guys, Palmer has been slightly worrying as of late. If we look at his last 3 game weeks, game week 17 to 19, compared to the data of game week 14 to 16, the 3 game weeks prior, you can see a huge difference in underlying data. And I don't think that's because Cole Palmer's being a bad player. I do think Chelsea in general are just on some really bad form at the moment. They've not even played many tough games, so we can't really blame it on that. They're just, I don't know, they're out of it at the moment. Their title chances, if they actually had any title chances, are more than gone now. But yeah, this data from Palmer is something to monitor because these last 3 game weeks, it's not been worthy of a premium player. He should be a bit cheaper if he's going to be pulling up these numbers every week. And more on Jackson, he does worry me a little bit. That's twice he's rotated in the last 6 game weeks and he's got 1 goal, 0 assists in the last 5 games he's played, which is definitely concerning, so we'll talk about that a bit later on as well. On to potential Rogers replacements now, guys. Looking at the Morgan Rogers fixture run, it's not pretty at all. It's a guaranteed 0-pointer in game week 20, then away to Everton, then away to Arsenal. 2 fairly tough games if I'm being honest. I mean, Everton aren't great as a team, but playing away to Everton, I don't see Aston Villa scoring more than 2 goals in that game. Probably only 1 because Everton are solid defensively. And Aston Villa don't always do great away from home. Then they play away to Arsenal, which I believe is an Arsenal clean sheet, to be honest. I think that's the most likely scenario. I mean, Aston Villa, sure, they could put 1 goal past them, but the chance of Morgan Rogers being involved in that isn't too high. So these next 3 game weeks, if you don't have bench cover for game week 20 and game week 22, you may be looking to sell Morgan Rogers. I personally have bench cover in game week 20. I'll play him in game week 21, even though it's quite tough. And then he's on my bench again for game week 22. So for me personally, I don't need to sell him, but if you guys don't have any bench cover, then it may be worth looking at bringing in a Morgan Rogers replacement. And guys, our best Morgan Rogers replacements are Ismaili Sarr, Jacob Murphy, and Harry Wilson. So let's dive into these 3. Now guys, without a doubt for me, Ismaili Sarr is the best Morgan Rogers replacement, but he is a little bit more expensive than Morgan Rogers, so you would need some money in the bank for this one to work. If you look at the Ismaili Sarr data here, you can see it's very good for a midfielder under 6 million, especially with the reliable minutes he's got. He's looking like a very promising asset for the rest of the season if he continues the way he's been going. And his fixture run is debatably the best in the league. Definitely top 3, only a few grey fixtures and a few green fixtures here. Even that home game to Chelsea, I mean, their form isn't great at the moment. That could easily be a green one. Come the weekend, Crystal Palace could score a couple goals. It depends if Chelsea can turn their form around. Next up, someone who is slightly worse than his Melee star, but someone who's a lot cheaper and maybe better value for money, is Jacob Murphy. He has solidified himself in that Newcastle team, starting, I think, 6 of the last games. If not 6, then it's definitely at least 5. And the numbers he's putting out is crazy. I mean, his minutes aren't great. You can tell he's an early sub for a lot of these games. But for 5.1 million, I think he's worth, maybe 5.2, he's definitely giving you more than enough. Like, for that value, you are not going to find much better. And Jacob Murphy, if you cannot afford his Melee star, is probably the player I would go for, because the Newcastle fixture run, while playing away to Tottenham, originally isn't great. That's the game you'd be bringing him in for. After that, the games get real easy and it'd be scary to go without multiple Newcastle players. Finally guys, we have more of a differential option, but also still a really good option and one of the best Morgan Rogers replacements. We have Wilson from Fulham now. He has started 3 out of the last 5, so he is still a bit of a minutes risk, but I do think he's earning a spot in that starting 11. The Fulham fixture run is really good. That's why I wanted to include a Fulham player. I knew there had to be at least one in here because Fulham are definitely a team to target. And Iwobi would normally be the best midfielder, but his expected data has dropped off quite a lot. And as you can see here, Wilson, for how much he's costing, only 5 million, he's picking up quite a few big chances and quite a few expected goals. The difference between Wilson and Jacob Murphy is that Murphy, you are bringing him in against Tottenham and they're playing away, which is not an easy fixture, whereas with Wilson, he's playing home to Ipswich, which is arguably the best fixture in the game. But on the whole, I do prefer Jacob Murphy to Wilson, and if you can afford it, go for his Melee star. Let me know who you guys think is the best Morgan Rogers replacement in the comments. On to my team now guys, we are going for a back 4 because we have Calvin Bassey for Fulham on the bench covering for Morgan Rogers, which I'm more than happy with. It's a pretty good fixture like we just said. Looking at this team, it looks really healthy, it looks good and I'm happy with it. The only thing I'm not too happy about is Nicholas Jackson. Like I said earlier when we were talking about the Gameweek results, could be a rotation risk. And he is on bad form. So he is up for being sold. I'm not 100% set on it yet because selling Jackson ahead of his next 3 games is really tough. Playing away to Palace, then home to Wolves and Bournemouth. That's 3 really good fixtures I'm kind of scared to sell Jackson for because Jackson most of this season has been really good and his bad form could turn good at any moment. So if I am to sell Nicholas Jackson, these are the transfers I would be making. I have 3 free transfers and 0.5 in the bank. Now I would essentially be using 2 of my free transfers to make 1 transfer, if that makes sense. Going from Jackson to Stewart, the cheapest forward in the game, then going from Winks up to Mbumo to take advantage of the amazing Brentford fixture run that is coming up. Playing away to Southampton and home to Man City is a great entry point for Mbumo. And I know a lot of you are thinking maybe, you know, why not just go from Jackson to Wissa and save the free transfer? Well, looking at the expected data at Brentford in the last 5 games, there's really only one man who's pulling in all the expected goal involvements. I mean, Wissa is 5th among Brentford attackers for expected goal involvements in the last 5 games. That is very unappealing, whereas Mbumo has penalties and has, you know, historically been one of Brentford's best FPL assets for multiple seasons. So for me personally, going from Jackson to Mbumo for 2 free transfers is more than worth it because I've got 3 free transfers and my team is quite stable right now. I can make that sort of luxury move. Let me know in the comments what you guys would do with Nicholas Jackson if you did have him, or maybe you do have him. Let me know what you're doing with him. Anyway guys, if you did make it this far, thank you very much for watching. You are always greatly appreciated and I will see you all in the next video.